Welcome back to another video, my powerful MBP family. You're just filled with greatness and goodness and kindness and love, and I want to say thank you again. After I did the video about thanking you guys for contributing to the scholarship fund, I found the need to write this to just talk about the high cost of school books and the need for government subsidies. I was talking to a parent. She actually sent me a book list, but the book list, she said there's no cost to it because I wanted to share it with you guys. She has two children in a high school, in a well, traditional high school, and they're twins, and so you can just imagine two children coming out of a household where, this parent doesn't have it. She comes here, she does some cleaning for me, she does our hair, and I know that it is tough on her. There are other kids there to go to school, and yet she's trying her best. The children are trying their best, and so when it's time to purchase the books, as she said, she can do 2 sets of books. She can do 2 sets. So she'll get the 1 set of textbooks and try to get 2 sets of workbooks. She said sometimes $90,000. My good God, that's a lot of money. And you're not working in a professional setting. You don't have money like that. So you're sacrificing to find the car fare for the kids to school, to find lunch money for them to get to school, to find uniforms and to find the books. And my God, So education is a right, guys. It's not a privilege. So I am grateful for those of you who are supporting the scholarship fund, because I just feel in my heart that every child needs a chance. They blow it, then so be it. They can't complain and say they didn't get a chance. But there's so many out there that maybe if they were given a fair chance to succeed, they would have not taken up the gun. They wouldn't have joined gangs. They would have tried to be better people. So education is not a privilege. I'm sorry. It's a right for every child. Every child deserves equal access to quality education, regardless of their family's financial situation. Textbooks are part of the tools they need. Textbooks are essential for learning, and yet they remain out of reach for many low-income families. We look at the rising cost of books. Guys, in Jamaica, book lists for students, especially at the high school level, are often extensive and expensive. And it's not just at high school level, though. You hear me talk about high school because we're supporting the kids in the PEP. But with me buying my little Kayla is in 2nd grade, and with me to purchase her books, it was a big money to get that book. The list was this long, a long list. And in order for her to give her that fair chance, I don't want her to go to school and they're teaching phonics and she doesn't have the phonics workbook. I don't want her to go to school and they're doing integrated studies and she sits there and she's learning, because she gets to the book now and she's able to make connections, and I like that. But if she didn't have the book and I didn't have the background I had, where would she be? What would have happened to her? So 1 single textbook can cost several thousand Jamaican dollars, and students may need up to 10 or more books each year. Costs increase when books must be updated, and that makes me want to barf. Because some of the books they talk about updated, what do they update in it? A couple of words there, a couple of words there. How would it have taken away from the kid? So then you have a child who finishes the 7th grade, and you have a 6th grader coming in, and instead of those books be able to be handed down to that child, they talk about, new book list, and they change a couple words in these books, and they raise them, they change the prices. You know, a couple words change and they call it updated. It is just such a cruelty. You know, so every time the cost increase when the books must be updated yearly. Why is the book updated yearly? What has changed so much that it has to be updated yearly? If a teacher has the information of the update, she can update the kids as they use the book, but the whole book doesn't need to be updated. The whole books do not need to be updated. You don't have to change a thing. If a date needs to be changed or a little thing needs to be added in the book, in the back of the book somewhere, you can add it. But I forgot, it's not about the children learning, which is their right to have access to an education. But I forgot everything is about the almighty dollar. It's just the money. It's the money. We claim we update them, so we have to add another 300 or 500 to these books. It is such a travesty in this country called Jamaica. You know, you see the big feet on the necks of these poor people, and you just see the struggle. You just see this. It's like only a certain group should have access to, because they're the ones we're catering to. They're the ones whose children should become the next lawyer, the next doctor, the next principal, the next nurse, you know. If you're coming from certain regions or certain areas, no, I'm sorry. It's not for you. Because your parents can't afford the books. If your parents can't afford the books, how are you going to learn? How are you going to learn? How are you going to follow through? When you get homework assignments, how are you going to get it done? And day in, day out, many children are running to school with not even one book from the book list because parents cannot afford it. So again, the cost increase when books must be updated yearly or differ across schools, limiting the possibility of hand-me-downs. Every school should be using the same books. Every high school should be using the same books. It means that if a child has to move from the country into the city, it's okay. If they're in the 6th grade and they move to Timbuktu on the island, if they move from Yallah's Point to Negril Point, they carry their 6th grade books and those are the same books using. If they're in high school, whatever form they're in, wherever they go in Jamaica, it should have been the same books being used. We need to stop this cruelty against people who are poor. They have a voice too. It's not only those with status have voices. Give them a chance, man. You know. You can be different, having different books. So if they have a cousin up in Kingston and they're finished with their books, they could send it down to them in the country because, oh, it's the same book we use in the 6th grade. Oh, it's the same book we're going to use in the 7th grade. Yeah? Give them a chance. The impact on the families and the children, it's tougher when there's more than one child in school. The burden becomes more. I told you about Mr. Kopi, and I know, you know, there are people who say, oh, take it one at a time. But, you know, there's so much need. The needs are so much. And I'm not getting overwhelmed because I know I can fix it all. And this is why I come on here and I plead to you guys to help where you can. Just help where you can. You know, because the needs are great. One parent, the parent that he referred to me, 3 kids coming out of the one house in the mornings, car fare, lunch money, books, uniforms. Jesus. Listen. Listen. So when he said, you know, help her to get the books, because he said right now, the 3 kids going to school, one of them is in Kayla's class. No books for the whole school year. The 3 kids that just go to school every day and not one textbook she could afford for them. So the needs are great. When I come in here and you hear me talking, I'm not talking because I'm looking for shit for myself. I'm telling you what the reality is. And we talk about crime and crime and crime and crime and more crime and crime. Talk to the people who are doing these crimes and see how much education they got, or and interview them and see why they're out there picking up guns. The expenses compete with other essentials like food, transportation, and utility bills. Often parents are forced to prioritize, which is not good. Who gets books? Leaving some children without critical learning material. I see the importance of having the books because I'm looking at little Kayla. You know, I thank God I didn't have to go through that when I returned home in 99 with my children. I was able to provide for them. But when you come back now and you look at little Kayla here with me, what if she was somewhere else where they couldn't afford to buy those? It's a lot of books, a whole big list. And I used to be frustrated because they're not using it. But thank God somebody heard my frustration and they're using these books. The phonics book is completed. Kayla is reading. You know, Kayla is, listen, the time it used to take her. And I keep saying, Kayla, nobody's going to wait for you to be able to say, let's go, pumpkin. Look at the word, look at the parts, you know. And with the support and the encouragement and the, you know, involving the TV, I said, if you can't tell me what the title is, you can't watch. You can't watch your cartoon. You have to be able to tell me what the title is. And those are things that get her reading. I said, whatever you see writing on pumpkin, the water bottle is sitting here. This morning she's telling me, Grandma, this is product. You know how happy I was? This kid, I'm giving her so many high fives around the house. You know, so many high fives. Now when she goes into the books, she's able to use the books because she's now making connections. So if she was in a situation where she came here a non-reader, she couldn't even CAT, she looks at you, she couldn't even. And even when you would say to her, this is a family, fat, cat, rat, mat. Look at the last two letters. You notice, what do you notice? They're the same letters. Now look at the beginning letter, the first letter. They're different letters, but they all have their own sound. And it was a struggle. She couldn't, even when you said this, sound out the R and R-A-T. Then she got to fat and she forget A-T. And it took a lot of work. But praise God, you know, a lot of parents don't have to say, well, you know, what did you learn today? We learned about transportations. And that, you know, or we learned about so-and-so. And the parents can have the background knowledge and can bring them a little further. They need the books. So when parents are forced to say, boy, you know, John, you have to go on in the book, you have to go get for Mary Fair book them, so you and little Simone, you can't get no book, and you can't get no book. You know, it is hard. The biggest disadvantage is for the poor people. Students without books are unable to follow lessons. They can't complete homework, and they cannot study effectively. It is true. And then this leads to low academic performance, less confidence, and a widening education gap between the rich and the poor. Is that what is expected in Jamaica? That if we don't provide for them, and if we then there'll be less people vying for jobs, there'll be less people, there'll be less wealth. Why don't we make it possible so everybody they can have their wealth? If not here in Jamaica, they can go to other countries and go market themselves because they have a foundation in education. The discrepancy of rich and poor in Jamaica, it is so wide. It is so wide. When you look at them up there and they look down on the poor people and they still cry down their prices and they still do these things. What is Jamaica going to become? A little Haiti? What is it going to become? If the kids do not have the tools they need, a workman cannot go to work without their tools. Children cannot go get to learn without the things they need to learn. A lot of kids stay home out of shame, and this is why I sent them to gangs. And we talk about crime in Jamaica. Crime. That's how we're going to fix some of the crime. Not all of it, but some of it. Give the kids a chance. Some of them out there, bright people, creative people, if they're only given an opportunity. But no, we have to come in, lock away, and we have to separate them, and we have to, and so they have the kids, and the kids can go to school, and everybody just bleach out, and the saga continues. Real life examples for me, as I said, when I returned here and I took in Kayla. Despite she's in early primary, she's second grade, her textbooks were very costly. This experience gave me a first-hand view of what many parents face, particularly those without a stable income. A lot of parents are trying to work. They're trying to work. But what does the income looks like? Without an education, what kind of income you think when the ships roll into the harbor and they go in there to clean things and to do whatever they do? How much you think they get paid? When they're in the supermarkets cleaning down shelves and packing up things, how much you think they get paid? Do you believe that if they had an education, they would have gone to a college or a trade school and able to do better? When they take out their taxi fare from the little bit they make, what's left? Lunch money, what's left? I went to the supermarket the other week and somebody brought the girl $200 and she said, she was talking and she says, the girl was telling her, did you see it? Did you see it? Pick it up. And the girl said, just give it a break. You make it, this can't even buy a cup of soup for lunch. Can't even buy a cup, which is true. A cup of soup is like $200, I must say $50. If a little cup of soup for 99 cents or for 50 cents somewhere. And I asked her, I said, do they penalize you if the customers give you? And she says, no. And I fold up something in my hand and squeeze it and put it in her hand. And said, buy lunch. Buy lunch. Who would be able to buy lunch, a cup of soup for 4 days? But the needs are great. And if they have children to go to school, they have to go without in order for the children to step out. Because every parent wants the child to do well. Every parent wants the child to do well. So I thought about government subsidies, and I wonder if subsidizing, I'm just saying to the government, I know you're not going to watch my video, but who knows? If you subsidize the school books, that would remove a major barrier of education for thousands of children. It would ensure a more level playing field and support national goals of literacy and development. Government programs could prioritize the most vulnerable, the orphans, the single-parent households, and low-income families. I don't think that a lot of the fathers who end up in jail would have ended up there if when they worked there was enough. If when the mothers have enough to help with the children, they're doing their part. The men are supposed to be the providers. But when they come in and they don't have enough, and the women get frustrated and call them all sorts of names, then they slap them down, and then they end up in jail. And then what? The saga continues. The children are the ones who suffer. So I'm just asking the government to please take the bold steps to invest in its youth by making school books accessible and affordable. Partnerships with publishers, digital textbook initiatives, and book rental systems could also ease the burden. Book rental system, yes, book rental system. But how many kids are going to go in there and rent books? And how many of them are going to get priority over those coming from the more rural sections? How many books do they have for rental? And what is it going to be, a first come, first serve? Well, if the books remain the same each year, each grade that a child finishes can hand down the books to the child coming up behind him or her. And they can continue. Maybe they could have to buy workbooks because the workbooks would have been written into. But that's less than have to find textbooks every year. So I'm just reaching out. I'm just like, I was here, did a video, and then all of this just started coming down on me like, what is the government doing? They pick up how much million to give woman and her daughter to go put in hearing aid, while so many children are sitting here could use a couple of textbooks at school. Huh? How does this make sense? Don't they want the best for the country? It doesn't seem so. It just seems like those in the high places are comfortable up there, and they don't give a rat's ass about those on the bottom. No child should be left behind because they can't afford a book. None. Every child should be given the opportunity. Give them the opportunity and let them waste it. Then you can say, all right, you don't want to go to school, you don't want to do this, you don't want to do. Then your behind can end up in the jail cell. That's where you want to go. But don't sit here and give them nothing and then you drag them into jails anyway and act like you have done everything you could do for them. I'm wearing pink, I don't know why I got so passionate. But it bothers me, honestly. It truly bothers me. And this is something that I it just bothers me. Do your best, people. Do the best you can. Do the best you can. Our children deserve it. They're our men and women for tomorrow. We need them, because when the others pick up and run away because they can afford visas and stuff, we're going to need them to fill in the gap. They can't fill in nothing if them can't read and write. So we're going to live in some big bad dilemma in these last days.